Thank you for joining us on Girls Stampede as we continue to highlight women in the board game hobby. Today I have with me Besime. She is the CEO of Ion Game Design. Hi, Besime.
Hi, so nice to be here.
Thank you for joining us. You're at a party, right?
Yes, I am. A housewarming party.
Housewarming party, and she's taking a break to be here and talk to y'all. So I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for doing so. I see you get your wine in the background. Exactly. That's perfect. I've got my coffee over here, so we're all fueled up, ready to go. So yeah, thank you for joining me. I want to start by saying, Besime is actually my boss because I do work as the international marketing director at Ion Game Design. But I've actually known you well before we came to work together as well. We met, I believe, at Essen a couple of years back as I would come over and stare at the amazing games that Ion offers, and we would chat about everything. The industry and games, and so we've known each other quite a while. I'm really looking forward to this because I want to hear more about your background, and I think a lot of folks do as well. So I'd like to start with, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be? What were your plans for yourself as far as a career and what you were going to do before you ended up here?
I actually wanted to be a lawyer. This is very weird, but for a little girl. But I actually wanted to be a lawyer. But then I ended up studying business administration at an international business school, and I started falling in love with the international relations and meeting people from different parts of the world and so on. So life took a weird turn, and then I started working with international relations at the university, and that's where I met Jon Bunker, who is our lead game designer at Ion Game Design. And I ended up at Ion Game Design as a CEO, and that's the best decision I have ever made. So, yeah.
I love hearing that. Yeah, and how did that come about? So you knew Jon and you were coworkers, but
yes, we were.
At the university, right? And then, so how did that come up? How did Jon decide to ask you to join him in some board gaming endeavor?
That's still a mystery for me as well. So, but I'm so happy that he trusted me in this, and so I was kind of surprised at first when he said that you're the CEO for Ion Game Design, and I'm like, yeah, for real? Yeah, you're just joking with me. But he saw something in me that I didn't see at first. But I've been growing into the position, and I really enjoy it, and it's been a wild ride so far. So yeah, and we're still growing, and we went from last year we were 4 employees, and we were 15 now, and we've published so many games since then. So it's been a wild ride, and I'm so glad that Jon trusted me and that Phil Eklund is trusting me with his games. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. How did Sierra Madre come into play with Ion Game Design? How did that happen?
Jon and Phil had been friends for a long time, and they actually met at Essen as well, just like you and I met at Essen. So it's a great place to meet people from the industry.
Absolutely.
So that's where they met, and they've been close friends. And then, as most people already know, Phil ended up with some problems, and we trusted in each other, and we always been in close contact, and so he gets to publish his game as well.
I like that reference. I mean, just hearing you say, that trust that you had in each other, first Jon in yourself, and then Phil in both of you. That does seem, I hear that as a common refrain in the industry of you build up trust with each other and then, go from there. And it sounds like there was the trust that you were going to be able to come in and do the business side of it and help with that, which a lot of publishing companies struggle with. It can be hard to manage the business side when really what you're focused on is designing and trying to, get games out there. It's not necessarily everyone's forte to get into the business side, but it sounds like you had that background. How has that been for you? What have your experiences been with trying to manage that, especially with such growth, like you just mentioned, from 4 employees to now 15? That's a dynamic growth.
Yeah, it is. It's been a challenge, but Yoon and I have always had the same goals, and we understand each other a lot. So our teamwork has helped us to grow enormously, and all the challenges we've been faced during this time, because it hasn't been easy.
Right.
It's been a lot of challenges in different parts of the all from the publishing of the actual game to the teamwork and everything around it, but that we have each other and that we can talk to each other and solve it. It's been that's what you need. You need a partner in the industry that you trust and that you can work together with.
Absolutely.
And then we have built, and when we have built a team together, that's really strong, and the team spirit is really important for us. So, and together with the rest of the team as well, we can take all these challenges that's coming as we are growing.
Absolutely. I mean, because again, everybody has their forte, and I've seen this in work. And when I was first talking to you, that came up a lot, and I really, really loved hearing that from you, how much it was about being supportive of each other, helping each other learn and grow and meet all the challenges that were going to come up, but doing so together as a team. And how do you do that in daily practice? Is there a way that you find brings the team together? Because I mean, you have people working remotely in the U.S. You have people over in Stockholm. How do you keep the team cohesive?
What I notice is that you have to have real clear processes. So it's need to be really clear what everybody's doing. Write it down, the processes, so people can go back and read it. It's really important with the communication. So to talk to each other and listen to the problems. Don't just ignore the problems that are arising, because we are all different. And that's the fun part of being a team, that we are different. And just like you said, that everybody has their strength. So don't ignore the problems that are in the team, but listen and improve. So I would see my leadership style as adaptable. I like to listen to my team, and there's the changes they want to make, and then of course I take this final decision on what's best for the whole team.
Right.
But
taking into account what everyone's perspective is to get that thing that's going to work for everyone. That's really good advice. It reminds me of some advice I got early on in my past career. I had a boss who said, I don't just want somebody who's going to clean up the mess and fix it. I want someone who's going to look at the mess and say, why is this here? What caused it? And how do we make sure it doesn't happen again, as well as cleaning up the mess? And those processes can be really key for doing that. So that everyone can be on the same page, even as you grow. A new hire can see, okay, this is how we do things, and kind of be introduced more easily. So, I completely agree with those things. I love written down processes and things to follow. Make it easy for people. Make it easy for them to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm. And you have to see the final product as well, I think, the final goal that everybody's going towards, because I think it's so easy in the team to forget because you get so focused in your small little bubble that you don't see the whole process. So I actually when we get the mass production sample of High Frontier for All, I just lifted it and showed it to the whole team and said, this is what we did. This is, this is all the hard work and all the sweat and tears. This is what we did, and this is what we should be proud of, because people are going to enjoy this game.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I
celebrating those
that.
victories. That is a really good point, because that really does keep that motivation going of folks wanting to keep going, do the next project, start again, because really with the lineup that Ion has coming up with 2 games practically every quarter, that's a lot of work behind the scenes consistently. And you're just going, you may finish up one project, but then you're on to the next one and you're doing it again. So those celebrations seem great as well. And I'll share some behind the scene knowledge. Like, I love that there's like team building where there's like Friday night movie night and somebody picks a different movie each Friday night, or, you know, just other get-togethers in addition to the real work, the daily stand-up meetings where you're focusing on, okay, what's this next sprint going to look like? What are we focusing on? But there's also the fun and the celebrating. And I mean, remembering that we're making board games, right? It should be fun.
Exactly.
They need to be fun, not just, you know, serious 100% of the time.
Just like Phil says, that we're so lucky we get to play at work. So, yeah.
So, yeah, and to create games, to switch gears a little bit, to create games like this, I mean, High Frontier for All obviously is a huge accomplishment. It is an incredible game. The depth to this game is, you know, what some find insurmountable, but you and Yoon really were serious about making sure that you could focus on breaking down those barriers, making it available to everyone by piecing it out. Can you talk about that plan a little bit? How you came to kind of want to focus on ensuring that these games were accessible?
So one of our vision, or since Yoon started the company, it has been a vision to broaden the audience, to have more people to play board games. And this is kind of a great thing for the whole board game industry. And for Ion Game Design, we have a passion for the players of our games, for the game as a product, and for the as an art form. And we want this art form to be available and accessible for all. So we have started, for example, with Pax Viking, that is in mass production right now, to have it less complex games and more accessible to the broader market. And we are actually also going to have in February 2 new board games, Dawn on Titan and Smarter Than a Monkey, that's even more family oriented as well. So we're trying to have different complexity in our games so we can have more people to play it.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you think by doing that and kind of piecing out the mechanisms in these games, do you think that that will help people learn what they need to know and piece it together for that huge, you know, play of High Frontier for All? And I love that you put for all in the name for that, to be like, listen, there's something in this for everyone. Do you think that that will help hopefully push them into, not push, but just allow them to enter into those more complex games as they go?
Definitely, yeah. We've been working a lot with the rules as well. And in High Frontier for All, there is different rule books to get you shuffled into the game as well. So yeah, that's something we were working a lot with.
I appreciate that, because I mean, honestly, as a woman in this industry, that's the question I get asked the most. And my male counterparts, I don't hear that question asked often, but I constantly am asked, you know, how do I get my partner, my wife, my mom, my kids into gaming? And that's a tricky question to answer usually, but now I feel like I'm kind of finding my feet with that question and be like, well, maybe, you know, find a theme they enjoy, find something they enjoy, and, you know, bring them in that way to just sitting down and enjoying a game that maybe concentrates on one mechanism before you start combining them and maybe layering on, so that they can feel comfortable and not feel like your experience level is a barrier for them. They can't catch up. So kind of leveling that playing field. What about you? What would your advice to be to somebody who's trying to bring somebody they care about or spend a lot of time with into the hobby?
I kind of agree with you, what you're saying. So start with the basics in the game. And that's really what we are trying to do at Iron Game Design. So to have the rules, so you start learning the basics, kind of an introductory or quick game. And usually, I think just saying that the woman doesn't like to play games or that she, it's kind of weird that it's more about time and actually sitting down and, so an introductory game is perfect. And then, going on to the more complex games. So, yeah.
That's a
so
really
I kind
good
of agree
point.
with you.
But you bring up a really good point, and this has been discussed a lot in the industry of late, is that we're still kind of at a period where women do tend to take on, not across the board. I mean, I have a very 50-50 relationship, and many do, but there are folks where the woman takes on more of the household stuff, regardless of whether they work outside of the house or the childcare. And when that's the case and you're spending so much time doing that, that is something that has to be looked upon. And I know some conventions even have looked at that and said, how do we help so that it doesn't come down to a choice of one or the other partner being able to participate? What do we do for childcare? What do we do for kind of evening the playing field so that everybody has access? And honestly, that's what access means, is figuring out where those impediments are for some people and addressing them. So that is a good point of something that, has to be looked at if everyone is going to have equal access to this, not just getting into the games, but having the time for them as well. So folks asking that question, those are the things you need to, probably address yourselves as well to help people in. Let's see if there's any questions in chat. I know, let's see, Christos says, much love to Besime. My wife and I had a lot of trouble getting my High Frontier for All ordered, and we feel like you helped them cut through and get it all squared away. So they thank you a million times for that.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully, Christos, you and your wife are enjoying the game. It is definitely, and that's another thing to touch on. We always say that the games are an experience. And I've said that for a long time myself. Like, why do I play games? I want to sit down and have an experience with my friends and loved ones. It's not necessarily about just the competition or just the game itself, but what feelings and response does the game invoke, right? And what are we seeing? Is that something that you consider when you're producing these games and getting them to be published?
Definitely. We are, all the way from the design and reading the rules and writing the rules, it has to give you some kind of feeling and experience, really important. And all the way to the illustrations that are done, or the way the boards are made. So it's a lot of hard work from the whole team to make to find the product that you get in your hand to be something that gives you some kind of feelings and thoughts, and so definitely there's so much work behind it.
And I really do, I appreciate that a lot, that these games, when you look at these boards, High Frontier, Bios, Origins, they're intricate and yet very clear. And that is, Ian O'Toole will testify, that's not an easy thing to achieve, to give all of this information in a very clear way when there's so much of it to provide. And I've seen behind the scenes, so I'll touch on this a little bit. It seems like Ion and yourself really focuses on that graphic design. How many folks do you have working on that currently?
At the graphic design?
Yes.
So we have 4 right now, 4 people working with it. Yeah.
That seems like a lot. Well-founded, because what they're doing is incredible. And I don't think an easy feat for each of these games.
No.
But I appreciate that much attention is given at a company. Because most companies that I've heard of or worked with or been adjacent to, it may be a graphic design person who's not even at the company, just like, okay, we made the game, you fix it, and now we'll go on. And it feels like you are doing that throughout the process.
Yes, definitely. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like that makes a difference in how the final product?
Yes, I do. It turns the designer's vision to something that more people, I think, can appreciate. So, yeah, I do. That's the simple question.
Yes, it is. Yeah, exactly. It is a simple question, honestly, but it's not one that I think a lot of publishers consider for that final result. So Cohen the Barbarian says, you've put the previous SMG work and catalog to new heights. So kudos there as well. And Andy says he'd like to know what kind of sorcery you have to create enough hours in the day to do everything you do. And I completely second that. It seems like you are the queen of multitasking. There's always, 5 things going on at once and going well, and everybody's clear. Okay, you're doing this. Wait, you're doing all of this? Okay. So
we have put a lot of efforts in our employees in design and in development, as you said, with the illustrators, the graphic, but we've been kind of slow because with the games all the customers receive, we want that to be the perfect product with high quality. So we put a lot of effort in that, and then the rest of the part, which is the marketing, sales, and bookkeeping that needs to be done, the shipping, so the fulfillment, production, everything else has been with me, but now the team is growing as well. You're working with us, Jess.
Yes.
So, and we're really happy for that. And we have Hannah and Andy that is helping out as well. But it's been, it's been a lot.
Yeah. So hopefully we can all help you with more of that, because truly, I mean, there are so many layers to this that people don't realize are going on behind the scenes. The manufacturer, dealing with the manufacturer, which they themselves have many employees working on a project. And, I feel like you almost become project manager for them as well, because you need to make sure all your ideas are getting pushed over to, manufacturing correctly and understood correctly, bringing them up to speed, and then getting it to distribution. I mean, these are all huge layers. And you also, on top of that, do a Kickstarter model. So on that note, there is a Kickstarter coming up very soon. I think 10 days. There is
October 20th.
Yeah.
So remember that date?
October 20th. Yeah. So 10/20, we will have the Kickstarter of Gallon and Bios Mesofauna, which Phil just mentioned in chat, as well as, adding intro level variants to some of the games. Bios Mesofauna is exactly that.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yeah. Yes, it is. So it's a help to get into the rest of the Bios series, but also within Bios Mesofauna, there will be a introductory game as well done by Jon. So yeah, there is different levels to this as well. As I said, we want more people to be able to play these games. So Bios Mesofauna and Gallon is on October 20th on Kickstarter.
Yes, and both of those are really family level games.
Yeah.
Mesofauna being, insects, bringing the world of insects to Bios Megafauna. So that right there, I mean, would appeal to my kids, because they'd be like, all right, bugs, yes. I mean, who hasn't, had a little one who stops to watch the ants going in and out of the anthill? Like, their kids are automatically drawn to insects. So this is a thing that, already is going to grab their attention and not be foreign. But honestly, every theme, I feel like Ion and SMG really are just kids at heart, to be honest, because every theme is so like what a child at heart would love. Space, right? Like space travel. What kid isn't like, I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up? So all of these themes are really open for that. And for myself, to intro my next question I have for you, like, I've done play testing, I've done a lot of the different parts of the business side of this industry. And in doing that, I always found kids were even more willing to playtest or try a game than adults. Adults kind of have this fear of, I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to look foolish. And they don't want to take the risk of, playtesting this game and doing something that isn't the right move. Kids do not have this fear. They're just like, oh, I'll move it here. Or I'll do this. Oh, I died? Okay. Like they don't tend to have any of that connotation. They're ready to take the plunge and see what happens. As Edward often says on Heavy Cardboard streams, pull levers, right? And like see what happens. So I feel like this is really ripe for bringing your family into these games that you love. You getting to, play these more intricate games yourselves and enjoy the process. But don't discount necessarily families for playing these games and picking it up. So I guess my question to you is, where did that initiative come from? Was it a combination of those things of like, well, no, kids could definitely play this game, opening up the audience, trying to, just make these more accessible? Where exactly was your impetus for moving these games into a family level?
Yeah, sorry. Like, I don't think we're just trying to make accessible games that works for like everyone. So having the teams is passions from us,
Okay.
from other teams members. So maybe we are kids at heart. You're completely right in that.
I feel like that's true.
That is true. I agree with you. So it comes from passion from us, and I think that passion shows all the way into the games, and and then it goes all the way to the players, and and since we're working so hard with every level of the game or every phase of the game, with the bugs from now on, for example, that Madeleine is doing all the illustrations for that. That
Right.
can also, get the kids into the game. So it's just the passion from us, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, it creates future gamers too, right? I suppose you're kind of, bringing them in early, so they're like, oh, I played these games as a kid. You'll get that nostalgia factor. Just give it 10 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. I'm seeing if anyone else. So they're thanking you for answering emails on the week, customer service emails on the weekend. And yes, that is because you're amazing and take customer service that seriously. Absolutely.
It is really important for everybody that wants to start in the industry. I would say for us, the customers are so important, and I guess for everyone else as well, and to listen to the customers and to have time for the customers. And, sometimes you feel like you're not enough for the customers, but it is important. So
I love that you even feel that. And honestly, I've never got the feeling that there's any job that we're doing that is beneath anybody. Everyone tends to dive into anything. So, and that's a really good example of that you were perfectly willing to say, okay, I'm going to get into these emails, or I'm going to go help catch up with this because we're behind. It's not it's never felt like it's divided. It's very much a big team effort to get this done.
Yeah.
So yes, because she's amazing. So people are asking, what has been your favorite gaming experience recently?
I unfortunately, talking about time,
yeah.
I wish I had more time to play games, because it's so fantastic to sit around with friends and playing our amazing games. But as we mentioned a couple of times, I'm kind of busy. But just listening into Heavy Cardboard playing High Frontier, that was amazing. Yeah. So I would say that was like epic. We used a lot. And I enjoyed, from a publisher side, watching the games being played. So I enjoyed watching High Frontier being played, but also at our office, we do play the games a lot. So Galen, I watch, and Bias Mesafana when the team plays these games. So yeah.
So you get to adjacently experience it at this point. And you, we do play testing in-house, obviously, as well, so that everybody at the company can know the games coming out. And you were kind of adjacent to our Station Fall playthrough as well, which was a blast. It really is fun to play as a team, in a competitive game like that, and have your boss, Yoon, go and kill your character.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun playing
Yes.
Station Fall that Matt Eklund is doing and designing, and that we are gonna publish, and it's coming out in Kickstarter in April. I think.
April.
So yeah, and I know a lot of people are waiting for Station Fall, but that was a lot of fun playing. It was a great team building assignment as well. Even though we were like doing it on TTS on a digital platform, it was still a lot of fun, and we were in different countries. So
yes, and this is what the virtual world does do for us, is we're able to get on Tabletop Simulator and play games together, but also to bring it to customers around the world so that they can take part in play testing. And I do want to touch base on that. Two things. One, how has the current state of the world impacted showing the games without conventions to have tables set up as you usually do, sitting down to play games, but also just play testing the games, and having to use technology? How has that changed things for Ion?
We of course missed when actually meeting the people, because that's a lot of fun, as well, how much fun it is to meet all the customers face to face, and also meeting other people from the board game industry and showing the games live. But we've been doing a lot of playtesting, and Andy Mesa has started working with us, and he's done a fantastic job of doing this online and having people involved in different playtests and playing it. So, and he's still doing it. So if you're in our Discord channel and want to try any of the games, he's always was so willing to help out. So
yeah, absolutely. So, and that's a good point. You have a Discord channel just for Ion Game Design. So any customers that want information about each game, all the past designs that have been published and ones that are upcoming or closely upcoming are in there, so you can follow along. Not to mention, there's a Players Wanted channel, so if people want to help with the playtesting there, they can check out the Discord for that. And that's been shared on the website. It's also been shared in social media, so folks can find the link over there. But it is, that is a great resource. So how has, and that's something that Sierra Madre Games has done since the beginning, involving people in the living rules and playtesting the games so that they can offer feedback, and something that Ion continues. Are there any pitfalls with that? Are there any, how do you manage having that many people kind of help with the living rules or provide information? Like, how does that work? Because that's not a norm in this industry.
No. Well, we think it's important. So it's something we don't want to change at all. It's really important to get this feedback and get people's. But then, of course, we need to do an internal decision if something's going to change as well. But you should listen to all comments, because it's passion behind that as well. Not just passion from us, but passion from people that is taking time and leaving the comments and reading the rules. And so you should take it seriously as well. And it's important. It's making us better all the time. So the living rules will stay.
I love that that's something that's unique as well, because that is just something that you really bring the community in, and this is a niche hobby, and it is a hobby for most people. So this is something that you can get attached to, and if you have the time to go in and play test and can feel heard in a game, I imagine that's going to feel really good and make you want to check out the next game. So definitely, if any of you are interested in that, this is a unique opportunity that Ion offers over in the Discord channel. So check that out. And let's see. Oh, yeah. So there was some news the other day. Gamefound is actually starting to offer campaigns. So previously, they'd only acted as a pledge manager after the fact, similar to BackerKit, for free. They did offer the services for free. And now they announced that they're going to actually offer Kickstarter type services with some enhancements that they've looked at over the past few years that they think would help campaign management specifically for board games. And so Tor Ivar Wilhelmsen asks if there would be any consideration to consider Gamefound instead of Kickstarter in the future.
I really like Gamefound a lot, and we use them as pledge managers for our last two Kickstarter campaigns. So I really enjoyed it, and what they are doing for the community as well. So really appreciate what they're doing. However, it's kind of too small for us
right now.
Yeah, because it's not enough customers that have found their way there yet. But I'm completely willing to try it, one of our Kickstarters, because again, I appreciate what they've done, and it's worked really well with our pledge manager as well. But Kickstarter is still the biggest platform, and so we need to be where it is, because for us, Kickstarter is really important.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, not huge yet, not, at that point where, Awaken Realms is going to go over, and obviously they're owner of Gamefound, so they're going to be the first big campaign. So kind of a wait and see. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
See what happens. So earlier in chat, someone asked, of the last 2 years of games that have come out from Ion, what was your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I enjoy the last games. I enjoy High Frontier a lot, because it's so much in it, and it's the first big game we did as the team that we are on now. So not just that it's a great game, but it's so much. I'm keep on using the word passion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
but
that's fine.
That's exactly what it is, and it was a team effort, and it was, we played it so much, and it was so much part of our life. So definitely High Frontier.
Yeah.
And then I really enjoy, again, I'm going to mention PAX Viking again, but I really enjoy it as well, because that's our first try, and doing it more for an open market as well. And it's all of our games, I would say, are like beautiful games.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about, the graphic design, and like you said, I think passion is the right word here, to want to put so much into these games to get them to that level when they come out. And when you're talking about High Frontier and all that is involved to make that a realistic gaming experience of going into space, I mean, that is not an easy feat, to bring that theme to life accurately. That's incredible. So I imagine that was a very long time coming, and it's hard not to be passionate about it to get it to that point. So well
and I love that you call it accurate, because that's also one thing that we are like focusing on, really on, that it's games that are accurate and grounded in reality. So I'm very happy that you see that as well.
Yes. So to get into a little bit more what we highlight here, how, as a woman, how have your experiences been in the board game hobby, and especially running a company? I imagine you don't get a lot of time at conventions to go play games, but when you do get to play games with others, or as well just in the business sides of things, how do you find the industry to be as a woman coming in to make these decisions and deal with so many facets of publishing?
I might be lucky, but I haven't seen any difference that I'm a woman or any other diversity against me. Especially not in game design in the company or in the industry. I've been saying a lot of times that to my colleagues at game design that this industry is fantastic. I would say it's so open and helpful, and people are so nice to each other. And I haven't noticed at all that I've been treated differently, that I'm a woman. It's more that you have the knowledge and that you know what you're talking about. That is more important than anything else, any other diversity. So, I'm very proud to be in this industry. I'm very proud of being Iron Game Design's CEO. So And even when playing games, I haven't seen anything. You're just one of the players, or and it's not that I'm a woman or anything else. That I'm the CEO because I do have the knowledge and I do have the So,
Absolutely. And that's wonderful to hear, especially in this facet of the industry that sometimes does get the connotation of having gatekeeping or not being as welcoming to women. So, and I think, for me, myself, just knowing that, you were the CEO of this company that made these great experiential games that I loved was really, it made me feel more like, okay, well, then there is a place here for me. Then I can actually get more into the business side of things and not just playing games. That, representation does matter. So, for that, I'm really glad you did get offered this opportunity and that you were able to take advantage of it and do this, because it really does offer that representation that makes others feel like, okay, there's, this is a welcoming place, or it can be, not to discount the experience of others, because I know that exists and it does happen to folks. But
I know. Yeah.
I'm glad that you found,
I'm lucky.
yes, that you found that place and that it has been so welcoming is fantastic. And I found the same at Ion. I've never felt discounted. If anything, truly respected and heard. If I say something, it's not a matter of being spoken over. It's a matter of almost being told to speak up. Like, no, say that again. We want to hear what you have to say, or it just said something, so it's very much supportive and a great community to work in. So I appreciate that. But that does stem from you as well as Yoon and Phil, but that obviously is the culture you've created. So well done with that.
Thank you.
On that note, there's a lot of plans for games coming up. Like we said, about 2 every quarter, which is very ambitious. But at this point, you have the team behind it to do such things. What are plans for you potentially to design a game?
Yeah, for me, it's always been important so as a CEO, it's been important for me to know all aspects of the company. So Yoon and I talked on our way back home from Essen, actually, that, okay, you know all aspects, but you haven't created your own game. And I said, no, that's true, I haven't. So I'm going to design a game as well, Pax Jamara, that is coming out or it's going to launch on Kickstarter in October next year. So hopefully we'll all be at Essen at that time. So that's when, and Pax Jamara is very personal and a project that I'm very much looking into to be doing. So it's about a queen from the Neo-Assyrian Empire. So a strong woman that I want to portray as in a history that has been taken over by just men. So again, it's going back to
very true, yeah.
And it's going to be a co-op game with some PvP influences, and of course a solitary game as well in it. So it's going to be really exciting to portray it, and it's actually my heritage as well. So I'm an Aramean, so Assyrian. I come from the Assyrian Empire as well, so that's part of my heritage.
That's amazing. Yes, to draw on that and potentially learn at the same time, right? Because I imagine a lot of research goes into this. So exciting for that. Was it always something? If you were going to do this, did you always want to do something more historical? Is that an interest of yours?
Yeah, it is. History has always been something that I'm interested in. So I studied business administration, as I said in the beginning, but I also studied history. So I think that's also one of the reasons I love our games. It's, it's so much built on history. So definitely, I wanted my game should also be part of, history.
I think it comes back to passion, right? That's where your passion lies. So now to put that into a board game, another passion, it does make sense. And that's actually, that's something that Yoon has talked about from the beginning as well, almost this desire for everyone at the company to feel empowered to create a game if they want to and do a design, and that Ion would be behind them in creating that if that's something they choose to do. So if all goes well with that, do you think you'll do any future designs after?
Yes, absolutely. I already started the process, and it's so much fun, and I'm learning so much from Jon and Phil and this. So definitely I'm gonna design more games. It's so much fun.
That's awesome. That'll be incredible. Yeah. So future designer, that is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to your games. And there's been a lot of talk and chat about your game as well, Pax. I'm not going to pronounce it right. Shamarat? Shamarat. So I'll get used to it. I'm going to have to practice my pronunciation. But yeah, so there's been some people who are very excited about that. So very, very much looking forward to seeing that. So we haven't been going to conventions a lot. Is that something that you miss at this point? Are you, wishing that you could get back to conventions, or are you enjoying the time to kind of sit back and focus on the business side of things?
We needed time to focus on the business because everything's gone so fast.
Right.
But I do miss it a lot, and I think the rest of the team misses it as well. Just to meet the players, but also meet the people from the industry. That's how we met, Jess. So,
yes.
And it's so much fun, and you share experiences and so on. So it gives you new energy going from this convention, even if it's like really. You get really tired during that time, and you get so much new thoughts and so on. But when you get home and you think about it, and it's you have new energy to go on, and you met so much new friends, and so new concepts.
Yeah, that's very true. It's exciting, and it does bring in that collaboration. I think really does spawn a lot of new ideas or things to jump from after the fact. Which is why I think you're doing a great job with the Discord channel to really continue to engage the community so that you're not losing out on their thoughts and their insights as they're receiving the game. Because, if you're going to learn about every aspect of the company, as you said, you also have to somehow learn how it is from the outside. How are people receiving these, and what struggles did they have with it? And so I think opening that discussion up to folks, and of course everybody's been chiming in about how helpful you are in email and responding and getting problems resolved that way too.
So nice, thank you.
Keeping those connections. Obviously, you're doing a good job.
Because it is difficult sometimes, so I appreciate it. Thanks for all the nice comments.
Absolutely, yeah. So last question, Kickstarter. This can be a really difficult tool to navigate for a lot of publishers. And you have some experience with it now with some campaigns under your belt. How has that experience been for you?
It's been like a roller coaster. No, it's a really important platform for us, and both for getting the funding to produce these games, but also to get the feedback from the backers. So we have something called design freeze, which when the designers stop doing anything more on the game, and it's after the Kickstarter campaign, because even if we want the games to be as ready as possible, we want to have this feedback from our backers, so they can be involved in it and change. So we have that afterwards. And Kickstarter, you have to, as long as you're honest and you communicate, it's a great platform for all publishers. Even if you're a new publisher, look at Kickstarter and other campaigns, and make sure you have a page that shows everything the customer wants to see: the game, the components in it, the gameplay. So, and as long as you have that and you have time to answer all the comments, it's a great platform, and it gives publishers that wouldn't have a chance. I know a lot of big publishers there as well, but it helps us as well that the big publisher there because more people comes into the Kickstarter.
Very
right?
true.
So,
Yeah. The more campaigns there are, the more people who are going to come visit and be brought in and maybe see, you know, other campaigns that are going on. But you're right. I mean, the time it takes is really, really, you know, something that you have to consider and plan for, because communication is key. I mean, no one as a customer wants to feel like you can't, you know, communicate or ask questions or you're not being heard. So if you put yourself, I think, in those shoes as what would I want as a customer, what questions would I have about this campaign, and kind of look at it from that customer side, then, you know, you can try to address those concerns early and often and be prepared for that. So yeah, it's a good plan, and, you know, you do the best you can, and like you said, open and honest is definitely the way to go. So Thomas asked, he was watching Consim Jam highlights, and he was wondering if Ion would consider doing a weekend PAX BIOS High Frontier game design event where teams to design and show concepts. I think he's talking about maybe suggestions from folks, though also this could be interpreted as like almost, you know, these things being set up for like an Ion Games weekend. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of like the idea. I don't really understand now, but
yeah, it could be taken either way, like an Ion Games event, or
I kind of like this kind of ideas and events. So I would say I'm for it, but
yeah, depending on how that would work out. I know that there's Ion Games Expo that's planned. There was one that's already taken place earlier this year, and then another one planned coming up in November.
Yes.
So y'all can look forward to that. The first weekend, full weekend in November, there'll be a Ion Games Expo, and more information, of course, will be about on the social media and on the Discord channel about that as well. But I do think the Discord channel does offer a lot of ways for people to play test the game and really put in their insights and design ideas into the game. And then, I mean, we had, I believe it's Justin Gray, right, who did the High Frontier 3 module?
Yes.
So module 3, and, you know, so he came up with module 3 and suggested that and designed that as well. So, you know, historically, Ion's definitely been open to folks providing insight and coming up and providing some design ideas. So
yeah, we do like external designers as well. So for Harry Pekka is the one that is doing Galen now. So he's an external game designer. So the game that is coming in October 20th on Kickstarter. So he's doing that. We just want, you know, we're looking for games that are grounded in reality, that has historical or scientific kind of game to it, and that it's not a typical Euro game, I would say, just as Phil said today to me, that it should be a roller coaster when you play it. So I thought that was funny.
We all like roller coasters. I like that. That's a good simile. Like, you're not just static, you're up and down. It looks like you're winning. Oh, no, I've come up. All right, no, you're doing well. It does. It creates that tension and goes back to that gaming experience that we were talking about, that is always the goal, versus just a straight, you know, move forward with resource management. There's a lot more to the games than that, for sure. So yeah, so let's see if there's any other questions that folks have. Good idea. So Yoon chimed in and said for Thomas, good idea with some live design event. We'll definitely think about that. Yeah, I mean, and you were open to that idea as well. Yeah, any ideas like that you have historically been really, really open for. And I think with the Discord channel and with the Twitch channel that has, you know, things like the Ion Games Expo coming out, it's already really prime and set up for doing such things. So definitely, Thomas, if you have ideas, it sounds like reach out, send them over, and see what they can come up with. So So I think that that's all we have for today. Edward's furiously writing, so I'm going to see what he wants. Yes.
Kickstarter. When is it?
We said October 20th is the next Kickstarter for Gallon and Bios Mesofauna.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing on the docket right now.
You'll see playthroughs on
Yeah, okay. And we will see playthroughs on heavy cardboard, of course. Very much looking forward to that. And other media channels as well. Shout out to our friends, because we'll definitely make sure there's great coverage on that. And I love that these are going to be family level games that we can highlight and get out to folks. So truly, this is the opportunity for folks to see, what Ion is moving into, and those gaming experiences for all. So, oh yeah, and Andy brings up a good point. The Ion website also has a submission form. So if you have a game idea, definitely take a look there and submit your thoughts there as well. So lots of options. Ion definitely makes it easy to get in touch with them and to provide feedback, whether it's really, you've embraced all media. There's no media that they aren't on. So, and Phil says he's personally reviewing several game submissions. So yeah, absolutely reach out. This is, a great company. I can't speak highly enough about it. Obviously I'm biased, but I don't have a very good poker face. So you'd know if I wasn't happy.
Thank you, Jess.
So thank you for taking the time, Besime. I know you were at your housewarming party here, so I appreciate you taking an hour to come spend with us and answer questions and talk about what's coming up, because it is really a very exciting year 2, 3. I mean, there's ideas all the way out to 2022, 2023.
Yes, there are.
This is going to be a very exciting time. So I hope folks will follow along and see the journey and the passion, as you said, for games that Ion has. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Good. Not scary. See, I told you it'll be fun. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, everyone in chat. I appreciate it. Take care. And tomorrow, Blue Skies will be played on heavy cardboard, 3 p.m. Eastern Time from Rio Grande Games, and designed by a friend of ours, Joseph Huber, who you may have seen on some streams in the past. He is a wonderful, very much an omni gamer, and I'm excited to see his newest design. So tune in then. Thanks all.